Hey folks, welcome back to the CrystaLac Academy. I'm David from CrystaLac, and today we are going to be talking about brush application of CrystaLac company products. Now, there's tens of thousands of different kinds of brushes out on the market today, and everybody has their own favorites. Our particular favorite and what we like to recommend is our CrystaLac company brushes that we carry here. First, is my favorite, is the Acrylothane brush. Now this is a 2-inch brush. It's not meant for great big tables and great big areas. It's just for small areas, but I really like the Acrylothane. It's super soft, soaks up quite a bit of product, so during application you're not having to go back and forth a whole lot. But it's a nice soft bristled brush. My other favorite is a dense foam brush. Now we carry both of these at the CrystaLac store. But dense foam is really, really important. Okay, now before you can use a brush, of course, you've got to open the product. Screwdriver, paddle knife, putty knife, whatever that you have laying around. Start between the rim of the can and the rim of the lid and give it just light pressure. You don't want to try to pop that off in one move. You work your way around the container just like this, being gentle, not to damage the rim of either the lid or the container. Now, when removing the lid, it's really important not to contaminate your finish inside the can. And what I mean by contaminate is as you remove that lid, there may be some dried product, so you want to be real careful. Maybe some dried product around the rim, especially if you've had it off before, and you don't want that to fall into your finish. Turn it away from the container. Don't turn it over top of the container, because if there's any dust or grime or anything on top of this lid, then what's going to happen is that's going to fall in your finish, and you don't want anything in your finish except what CrystaLac put in there. We're just going to set this to the side and go to the next really important part of using any top coat, gloss to matte, any sheen. It's really, really important, especially if this has been sitting for more than 30 minutes or so, to give it a stir. Good old paint paddle, paint stick, whatever. And you can kind of sometimes see it mix back up, but it's really important to have all those ingredients mixed up really well, especially using like satin acrylothane or matte acrylothane, to get everything mixed up in there really well to ensure you've got the same sheen and all the products mixed thoroughly, and you're going to have the same sheen across your project. What I'm going to do here, this is our black and white drawdown cards. We use these to check clarity and self-leveling of the product. And I'm just going to draw out a little line using our Acrylothane brush. Something that I kind of coined a few years ago is a dip and drip method. You don't want to wipe your brush, however you're brushing, foam brush, anything, on the side of the container. That's an old habit we picked up watching our grandparents or great-grandparents do that. It's not necessary, and what you're doing is you're forcing air into the brush that then can be transferred to your project. Stirring thoroughly, dip, just let it sit there a minute, let your brush do the work, soak up the product, then drip. Don't wipe on the side of the container, especially using water-based products. It's really going to prevent a lot of air. Let that drip off, keeping plenty of product on there, and just gently. Now notice as I brush this, it's going on nice and smooth. Notice the bristles aren't bending. Back to a dip and drip. Putting a pretty good coat on here. I see a bubble, but that's no problem. Acrylothane is self-leveling, and it will, all those bubbles will pop out. Now look at that. I put me a nice serpentine racetrack in there. I'm just going to sit this over to the side. Now we're going to jump right onto the wood. Same principles. No matter what you're applying the products to, same principles apply. Dip and drip, dip, drip. A lot of folks say go with the grain of the wood, some don't. It's whatever your preference is when using CrystaLac company products. We've taken the work out of it. So I'm going against the grain. I start a little bit away from the edge of the board that I'm working on here. And I just pull that down. Starts to dry or starts to drag, or I run out of product, I go back, dip and drip again. I'm not worried about any ridges or lines because Number one, I'm not being a snowplow. I'm not creating any ridges or lines, and I'm just nice and gently pulling that down, just like that. Need a little more product. And we're going to do this whole board nice and slow. Then I'm going to come back to the top, a little more product, and pull off that edge, just like that. It's not hard at all. So before we finish up, let's take a look at the drawdown card that I did the serpentine on at the beginning of this demonstration. It's right over here. Let's go take a look at it. So it's still wet, hasn't been touched, hadn't been moved, but do you remember the S lines that I put in it with the Taklon brush? All those are gone. There's no streaks, no lines, nothing in there that's going to cause it to need to be sanded or anything like that. Still cloudy because it's still drying. It's only been about 10 minutes. But after 10 minutes, you can see all the bubbles are gone, everything's out of it, and you've got a glass-like finish with acrylothane gloss. It comes in satin and matte also, but this is the gloss. It looks really, really nice. We hope you've enjoyed the content today and found it helpful. If so, please like and subscribe to the CrystaLac Academy. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. And by the way, tell us what kind of brush you like using when using a brush to apply CrystaLac Company products. We really want to hear from you. Hope we do soon.